Okay, it's 7:01. It's time to call the Zoning Commission regular meeting to order for April 17th. We have two people missing at this point. Jerry is not going to be here, so Tom, would you serve for Jerry Post, please? And Mike may show up, we don't know. Okay, the regular meeting minutes of the April 3rd meeting. Anybody have any comments or corrections?
The only thing I would ask, at line 135, when David arrived, and we reappointed Tom to serve for Jerry at that point. I don't know if that has to be
Right.
recorded.
Were there any votes after that? Yeah, okay. Did you get that? We'll fix that so that... Any other changes, corrections? Motion to accept the minutes as amended?
No, I move the minutes.
You moved?
I move them.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Any further corrections or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We have no public hearings. Can we have a motion to address application 17-11, amend the agenda to treat that first?
I can make a motion to amend the agenda to move application 17-11
In front of 1709.
in front of 1709.
A second.
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so let's take up application 1711 of C-Tech Solar. Town of Simsbury is the owner for site plan amendment for the installation of a solar array at 73 Wolcott Road. Is there someone here? Yes.
Joanne Terry, Operations Director for Community Farm of Simsbury. Community Farm is owned by the town of Simsbury, so. And
Josh Ferguson, Field Ops Manager for C-Tech Solar.
C-Tech Solar has donated to the Community Farm of Simsbury a solar panel that will be going in. It'll be used for educational purposes and for energy or for electricity purposes. It will be owned by the town. It will be on the town property, but the donation is coming through from C-Tech to Community Farm of Simsbury. We're excited to have it. It's a wonderful donation. It'll be great for our education program, for our field trips, and just a great addition to the farm out there. So, and Josh can answer any of the technical questions you'll have on that.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments on the commission? What's the capacity of this?
So it's it's 260 watt solar panels. So it's a little over 5K or so. If that's what you're asking.
Okay. Do we, are we ready to,
Mr. Chairman, did you
Yeah.
have
somewhere?
a memo from Mike Whitten
Okay, it's down here in the bottom.
And this is a permanent?
It will be a permanent fixture there. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Put in,
Permanent.
how is it?
So there's basically like a helical screw that gets driven in the ground, very minimal disturbance, and it's just attached to that.
And it's one panel.
And it's motorized?
Correct.
That's
yeah.
cool.
So it'll track the sun all day.
And what I understand is we can track what it's doing and
Yeah.
how it's doing it.
They'll be able to track the production of the system.
The students will be able to see this from the iPads on the projector when they're out at the farm, and our farmer can keep track of it as well as our educator.
And how's the motor powered? Is it just
It's all hydraulics, so it uses a little bit of power from the solar to move it throughout the day.
So how does it find the sun when the sun's been gone and there's no power?
So it's also GPS tracked, so we can, all Earth manufacturers, or all Earth Renewables, the manufacturer for this system, can send out updates, it can communicate to it. It's all GPS tracking.
No, my point was, if it wasn't generating any power,
Yeah.
How did it
goes
move
into
itself?
We still pay the electricity bill out there, so we're good.
It goes into a sleep mode if it doesn't have enough sunlight to turn on.
okay. Someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve application 1711 of CTEC, agent of Simsbury, owner, for a site plan amendment for the installation of a solar array on the property at 73 Wolcott Road. Site plan amendment approval subject to the following conditions. 1, zoning and building permits are required for the installation of the solar array. And 2, pre-construction meeting is required with ZEO. Location of the proposed panels to be marked in the field at the time of that meeting and approved by staff. And then 3, minor field adjustments to grading and landscape may be made based on field conditions upon written approval from the town planner, who has been given authority on behalf of the town's zoning commission to act.
Second?
Second.
Second by Jackie, I guess. Any comments?
No? Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next application is 17-09 of Chris Millard, Phase Zero Design, agent for Mitchell Auto Group, a site plan amendment for changes to the building design, for the Volvo showroom and the Volvo service/Quick Lane buildings at 384 Hop Meadow Street. Is there someone here to speak to that?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mitchell, as well as Chris Millard from Phase Zero, were in front of design review this evening. However, design review did not have a quorum, so they were unable to conduct their business. So staff's recommendation would be for you to table action on this item to allow design review an opportunity to review it at their next regularly scheduled meeting on May 1st.
Okay, the decision doesn't have to be rendered until June, so.
You are well within your statutory timeframe.
Yeah, I move that we table application 1709 until our May 1st meeting at 7 o'clock in this meeting room.
Second?
Second by Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Application 1710, SL Simsbury LLC, owner for site plan approval for development of the ridge at Talcott Mountain, consisting of assisted living facility, townhouses, apartments, clubhouse, pool, and office/retail buildings on the property located at 200 Hop Meadow Street.
Mr. Chairman, if we can just take a moment, we need to reboot our audio visual.
Okay,
I apologize for my tardiness, Mr. Chairman.
apologies accepted.
Much appreciated.
It's all easy.
The lashings come later. Outside of public view.
Where do we go into executive session? Drawing.
So all that's for next time.
What's that? No, there's last Wednesday, was the last one. Iron Horse or Curtis. Iron Horse when there's a field there. Like, you know, the Performing Arts Center, I'd rather just have that full space forever.
All the time, yeah.
Which is awesome, except for all the clubs in town are clamoring for field space.
Pardon? Well, we could
That's
skip
awesome.
and do one or the other.
So my brother plays, you know.
We could do that one.
He started a soccer club because they didn't have.
Yeah, you could schedule.
So my mom was talking about
Yep.
She's like,
Let's have a motion to move application 17-13 up to to be considered at this moment.
Are we considering the application or just,
Make a motion to move.
amend the agenda.
To amend the agenda to put application 17-13 ahead of 1710.
So moved. Seconded.
You have 1709 still, right?
Did you move that?
I did not, because
Okay,
I wasn't
so
I'm not
Mike
sure
moved
what's
it.
going.
Mike moved it. You have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Application 17-13 is to schedule a public hearing at a text amendment for an amendment to the zoning regs having to do with business zone setbacks. And we have to schedule a public hearing. So, a motion to set the public hearing for May 15th.
So moved.
Tom Kizvek moved it,
I'll second it.
second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Public hearing is scheduled.
Tom.
Pardon? Kizvek. And we'll table that until that time. Lights are on. It's coming?
Mr. Chairman, I need to grab an alternative laptops, books.
No. Okay.
Okay, what else can we do?
Shall we take a 5-minute recess, or can somebody find another one that we can deal with?
Then we'll lose our clerk.
Who's our clerk? Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break.
Laptop's
You can do it by
100%
paper.
off. The laptop's 100% off. It's turned off or asleep. The laptop that you're plugging into. There you go.
Giving us trouble with
That's usually the one that's bulletproof. HDMI is usually the one that gives you trouble.
Okay, 1710, are we ready?
You can just, I'll move behind you because I don't.
Yeah, I'll slouch.
It's going to come between us, Don.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we're here tonight on the ridge at Talcott Mountain, the Silverman project at the portion of the site of the old Hartford campus. Tonight we have VHB here to present to you Paul Vitaliano and Rod Sawicki. We also have Chris Russ of CA Ventures who are doing the assisted living facility on the site. We have had your approval of the form-based code, and at this time, previously we have submitted the site plan, which is under review by your staff at this time, but being that we submitted at the last meeting, we're here tonight to give you a brief presentation of the updated status of elevations for the facilities that are done by Minnow Associates, and then the VHB gentleman will go through the site plan. Paul?
Thank you.
Thanks, TJ. Once again, my name is Paul Italiano, civil engineer with VHB, located in Weathersfield, Connecticut. It's great to be back here again. We've done a lot of work in the last few months, and I'm happy to share that with you. As you recall, when we were here in December, we had a master site plan which was approved. And I want to kind of just hit on some of the key features that kind of drove our design from that site plan, just to not basically reinvent the wheel, but some key important factors. As you all recall, we were trying to create a walkable community. The roadway cross-section that we were presenting as far as the orientation of the building to the sidewalk, to the street, on-street parking where possible, that was all part of the plan. It was all something that would help drive this development into the type of community we're trying to develop. Interesting architecture obviously was also a key component, and the two architects representing the various parties on the site, both the residential and the assisted living, have been through design review, not yet completed, but have been through that process in the last few months. So, no, sorry, you can play brass bonanza.
Sorry about that invasive ringtone.
We had a slide basically showing the master plan that was approved earlier in the year, and for some reason that slide's not working, but this is actually the current layout. And the reason I wanted to show the master plan and then this plan was really to show from an overall layout standpoint how little has changed. I'll go as far as saying that the only thing that has changed on this plan is the shape of the CA building. I'm sorry, the assisted living building. CA Ventures is the operator of that. That's why I refer to it as CA, which is the light tan building on the bottom left. So the longer rectangular pink buildings and the smaller pink buildings, those are the 5 apartment buildings. The rest are the townhouses. The 2 buildings up front are the office retail buildings, and the clubhouses is straight in the middle with the blue pool behind it. So if I had overlaid these plans one on top of the other, you would see that the buildings are in the exact same locations, the roads are in the same locations. Some minor tweaks to on-street parking, to the crosswalks, to the sidewalk, due to grading, things of that nature, very minor. The assisted living building, as I said, the shape has changed because they've advanced their design regarding some of the internal workings and how orientations between the kitchen versus the memory care wing, and some pretty really just detailed architectural reasons. But when you look at that shape right there, it's still within the same box that was allotted previously for their building. So having said that, a lot of the work that's gone in the last few months has been for the nitty-gritty engineering type details. Stormwater management was probably our biggest challenge, having that design. So what we've designed to do is have several underground infiltration systems throughout the site to promote infiltration. We were trying to be very respectful of this project, as was required by the form-based code and the town's regulations, about understanding and being respectful of the wetlands that are nearby. We obviously have Minister Brook to the south, the Farmington River to the east. So we are completely outside of the 100-foot buffer for those wetlands, except for a small piece which I'm going to touch on later on in my presentation. So our drainage was meant to kind of also take into account as many of the low impact development factors and things that are in the Simsbury stormwater guidelines. So that's why we have several infiltration systems underneath the parking lots, and we have a pond in the back, which is kind of a different color green you can see there. Which one's the pointer? So that right there is a pond feature. Once again, to promote infiltration, keep out as much of that water on the site and minimize our impacts off to the wetlands and the sensitive areas. We do have a letter from the DEP saying that they've accepted our studies of the natural resources and are very pleased with our both our stormwater drainage design and also just our overall ability to minimize impact to the site. So we have been through that approval process with the DEP. Once again, some of the other details that are laid out throughout here are things that were in the master site development plan, as far as in the book that we presented, weren't really detailed out in the plans, but now they are. Things such as bike racks, having bike racks throughout the site, having benches throughout our green area here, making sure that there's benches throughout. We detailed things like the screening fences that show up in certain areas to screen parking where possible. I mentioned the architecture. Obviously, the architecture, we were very cognizant of all the talk that we went through and understanding sensitivity for view lines and elevations and things of that standpoint. Basically, our heights, our building heights and locations, as I said, have remained the same. So we've kept in line with what we presented here earlier in the year. One of the features I'd like to talk about that we just kind of touched upon briefly when we met last time, and now we've given some more detailed design to, is the connection for the multi-use path that right now you could circle the entire site, and this is a 12-foot wide path that can be used for biking, jogging, things of that nature, and it was intended to connect to the Farmington Trail. So right now, that's what we had talked about during our last meeting, and now our detailed plans have extended this across to the south. Rod, if you can go to those slides. So basically, as was required by the code, that path picks up here and follows as close to the road as possible across Minister Brook. And this portion actually ended up being an elevated boardwalk. We're in front of the Inland Wetlands Commission tomorrow. We presented to them briefly 2 weeks ago. We're going to go back tomorrow, so we don't have final approval yet. But we received some positive reaction. So basically, this would be an elevated boardwalk, which was designed to minimize impacts as much as possible to wetlands. And then that path would continue through the south portion. You can see obviously where the parking was, and then cross at the signalized intersection to Old Canal Way, and eventually connect to the Farmington Canal. So that was a feature I don't think we touched upon in too much detail last time, so we wanted to point that out. One of the other items that we evolved during the last few months, things that were talked about, was how we were going to handle the entrances, both our main entrance here, which comes up to the central green, and also the secondary access that we're proposing here. The main access, we had said at the time that we were going to suggest a signal to the Department of Transportation, a traffic signal there. That's still the case. Our process with them has been a little slower than expected, so we're still at the first. We haven't quite submitted our second step of OSTA, but they're aware that we're proposing a signal, and we've told them overall what we're doing, and they're generally on board. But obviously, as those details progress, we'll make them available to staff to make sure they're consistent with everything that we're discussing tonight. So basically, this would be a signalized intersection, which was something we talked about, and also we would do some minor widening along our frontage, maybe I'm going to say anywhere from 4 to 8 feet, all on our side, in order to have two left turn pockets, a left turn pocket here entering the site, and a left turn pocket, a left turn entering the site, and then this is for the right, and a bypass lane here, that's a left as well.
It's left into the tennis.
So it's a left into the racket club across the street as well, so basically we've widened enough to do that. One of the other items that was talked about a little bit, a lot came from the neighbors from Riverwalk when we talked about the secondary access. We're proposing that that's a right in, right out, as opposed to full access that we were previously proposing, so you'd only be able to take a right if you exit, or take a right if you come in, so it'll eliminate all of any kind of queue that maybe people were afraid of lefts coming in or back up past the Riverwalk drive. So we feel that our proposal would alleviate that concern.
How close would that be to the Riverwalk Drive?
I don't recall the exact numbers. It is in the same location that we had proposed previously, so you can see the Riverwalk Drive is right here, and we're there. I'm going to venture to say that's about 100 feet. 100 to 150 feet. It is. I do want to point out it is in the same location that it was prior. We've received some comments from engineering today. Though they were lengthy, we feel that they could all be addressed very easily with a sit-down meeting, which we look forward to having. Also, we haven't received full comments back from staff, so we do look forward to seeing that and working with staff to sit down and go over those comments and address them as they come in. So we do have some of the architectural, it's coming in a little grainy, but I'm not going to get into the architectural details. I'm not an architect. We just kind of wanted to show this, just to kind of let you know some of the progress that's gone on with DRV. Basically, what we were asked to do from, I don't know if the comment came from DRV directly, but the 4 different types that you see here, these 4 different colors, which you see spread throughout the site plan, is really meant to add some diversity to the site. So they represent the same building in the sense of the number of units, the height, that type of thing. It's really just changes in the outer skin and the look of it, so you're not driving down and seeing the same building over and over. So you can see how they've been kind of mix and match. This building's not, you're not going to see this building again until you get to here, and then it's going to stagger itself, things of that nature. So those are representing just the townhouses, but we do want to kind of put this slide in there to show you the type of thought that's been going into it, the type of comments and feedback we've been receiving, and how it's been addressed.
That was a feature that was led by town staff, and the Minnow and the designers got into it, but it shows a truly differentiated pattern so that if you walk around the block, there's great pedestrian interest and scale as you go through.
So really, that was really it for my presentation. I know that was kind of brief in the general overview. We do have some of the more detailed architectural plans that you can see if you'd like. We didn't put them in the slideshow. We didn't know if that is something you want to see in greater detail, but we do have them if you'd be interested in seeing that.
Can I ask a question? I know.
Absolutely.
About drainage. Just reading through what we received, and it looks like the actual lot it drains from west to east. Is that true? There's
Right.
a slight slope.
Yeah, I mean, the site, if you look at it, it looks relatively flat, but obviously there's a slope, and it basically goes from here this way.
Okay.
So it does go in that general direction. We try to work to maintain the drainage pattern as much as possible. It's easier for a lot of reasons. But generally that is what happens. So the water currently is not really, we're not redirecting it. We're not taking away from, what was previously going to the road, pulling it back. Pretty much keeping that. What we're doing is we're just intercepting it to make sure that what was going in the ground before is going in. Because obviously now with more paved surfaces and stuff, there's a lot more runoff that would generate. And, I apologize if I was too general with my overview, but basically when I say we have several detention systems,
Right.
I'm not joking. There's I think one here, one here, one here, one here, and there.
Yep. We got those notes. I was speaking more because of the neighbors. Riverwalk was very concerned when they were here. So if they know that as well, that the way the water goes in as well as all of the drainage you have in place, that it won't affect them.
Yeah, yes, the drainage, there was previously a small amount, basically something like this shape, that was making its way to a swale that was here that was directing itself to the road. We've even taken that away by virtue of our design. There is, obviously with the road widening across here, the road currently, there's no curbs and there's no catch basins there either. So the roadway drainage actually does drain across their driveway, Riverwalk's driveway, and goes off the road into the brook that cuts through their property as well. And we have the same situation to the south. There's basically I'm pointing here, I apologize, it's because the high point generally is basically kind of in that location. And this drainage actually goes to the south and basically just runs off into Mooster Brook. So we're still going to have to work out those details with the DOT. But what we're currently proposing, this is still kind of being talked about back and forth even internally, but we're actually picking up that roadway drainage, and the plans that you have in front of you actually show that water being taken into our site so that it does not continue past Riverwalk. We're still going to see if the DOT, if that's something they want to do, if they want to let it run off, but that's the approach that we're taking to minimize the impacts to the neighbors.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions?
We could let them run through this.
Pardon? Okay.
Slides.
I'd like to see the elevations, I think.
I think I mentioned when we first met that I'm not an architect, so I'm not going to try to pretend to decipher some of the features of it. I'm sure if staff would like to do so, that'd be fine. If not, then we'll let them speak for themselves. These two buildings are the.
3,600 square foot.
So that's the one on the right. So this is a southernmost commercial building, if you will. I don't recall how much you had seen at the last meeting, so I'm going to assume that you hadn't seen this, but I believe you had seen it similar to this. So,
It was all four sides, though.
I'm sorry, say again?
We haven't seen all four sides. We've seen two on each.
Do we have the other sides of that?
This is
It wasn't in the package. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what was submitted to DRB, and I think it's also the elevations in your submission as well.
I mean, the intent is to make it a type of building that doesn't have a business end, if you will. When you really look at the way the site's laid out, the main entrance to the building, I say main just from a vehicle standpoint. Let's say you're parking on the parking lot side, yet the face that obviously we want to portray it very aesthetically pleasing is the side that doesn't have any vehicles on that side. It's on the northern side. So as you drive into the site, on either side, right and left of that main access drive, is where you see the front face of the building. There's no parking on that side, so obviously we want that to be attractive. The northern side for the northernmost building, southern side for the southern building are going to be where people walk in and where your cars are. So obviously we want that to look nice as well. So you don't really want to speak for the architect, but the intent is that all four sides would basically have a nice appearance and be consistent.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, to Mr. Gray's point, they have not shown the elevation on the east side or the south side for this building, nor have they shown the east side or the north side for the larger commercial space.
So I would like to see that, if you can make that request in one of your...
We'll pass it on to the architects. This is what we've seen, so we'll have to ask for it.
We'll check.
So this would be, your comment might be consistent for all the buildings, sir, as far as that, but this.
Well, that's the most important one, but it is true of the other ones too. But that one is certainly a four-sided building where it's located.
Absolutely. I guess that was the point I was trying to make, that, with the orientation, you're right, it is a four-sided building, you're right, as far as what needs to be of interest. So this is the front elevation.
Except they're acting on it.
Oh, but the Pentagon.
Yeah.
So this is the front elevation of the larger apartment building, the 32 unit. So just keep scrolling. All right, take it back. So we do have all four sides for those. The rear elevation at the bottom, you can see those are where the garages are at the bottom, right through here. These are the 5-unit townhouse. This is from the street side, so you can see with the on-street parking, and the 5 entrances, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are 5 units stacked vertically. And these are basically the 4 different appearances that were in that color-coded one I sent over. And so it's kind of, it might not be that easy to tell at this scale, but it's the kind of thing where, this one has the 2 dormers on this side, for example. I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing, knee-jerk reaction. This basically on either side of a central a central unit, so there are slight variations in that sense. Number of chimneys kind of jumped out to me there. The one thing that was in the form-based code that will be integrated into all these is the use of porches and steps, or steps going up to the building and having porches. Those weren't, we didn't have those layouts in time for the plans that you have in front of you from a site plan standpoint. Basically, the plans have been developed, so there is porches, basically for all the townhouse units. So all the townhouse units are going to have porches, and then I think there's a minimum of 18 inches steps, so there's going to be a stoop at every door as well, so you're taking at least one step and then to the stoop. So that's going to kind of enhance that pedestrian atmosphere and the community type atmosphere of being able to stand on your porch and watch your neighbor walk his dog. This is the what's that?
Side and rears of the townhouse.
Right, because this is the side and the rear of the townhouses, so I guess the one so far that doesn't have the four views is the front one. I'm sorry, the front retail buildings. So these, once again, you can see the garages over here, and if you recall from the site plan, all the garages on the townhouses obviously in the rear. And when we designed our streets, when I talked about that street cross-section, we got three types of streets, basically type A, B, and alleyways. So the primary roads in the center of the site, basically you would not have garage access from that. You have to go around the back of the buildings to get to that. So it's away from view, away from the pedestrian activity. And this is the clubhouse, so this would be the front and right side elevation of the clubhouse.
When you say front on that, oh, you don't know, but I assume that's the hot meadow side.
This is the front facing, because it's basically facing towards the green. So as you enter the site from the main entryway, from Hot Meadow, as you enter the main site, you're looking up the green, and up the central green. We could go back to the site plan, and at the end of the green would be the clubhouse. So that's, you're basically looking up towards the clubhouse. So this would be that front side that you'd be looking at. And this was a detail about some of the signage that we would have in the front. We should probably go back to the site plan, but basically just to have entry signs as you enter the site to just kind of announce where you are. Have something a little more decorative. So basically, here was the clubhouse. So as you enter the site from the main entrance, you're looking up the green to the clubhouse. So this would be that front elevation. We just saw.
DRB asked about how to handle the trash on the two front buildings.
Two front buildings. They do have dumpster enclosures actually. There's one here, and it would be screened. There's also, where do we move it here, Rod? Yeah, right there, right. So there's another one here for that building, and that would also be right. Sorry, Jamie.
Mr. Chairman, if I just can on this one, I was waiting for an opportunity to just point something out, and Paul can assist me from VHB. The dumpster associated with the 8,300 square foot building, which is the northernmost commercial building, they're proposing, in essence, with discussions or in concert with staff, of locating that dumpster in the 100-foot front yard buffer, but to landscape that buffer, so there would be an intrusion into that 100-foot landscape buffer. In essence, it would be bunkered into a landscape earthen berm so that you wouldn't see it with regards to the landscape. So it would have the appearance that the entire 100-foot buffer is there. But placed within that buffer would be a bunkered dumpster enclosure. That is slightly
fully bunkered, like there's something over top of it, or
open to the air, but enclosed on three sides. So landscaping and earthen bermed right up against it.
Now, there's a berm along Hot Meadow on this?
They are proposing to modify the elevations associated with Hot Meadow to screen and soften some of the scale of the buildings. And we'll be working with their landscape architects on that final proposal. I think some of the discussions with design review originally and with zoning as we've gone through this process is trying to establish a streetscape along the southern property and the northern property to try and build identity and maybe some formality. And I use the term formality. If you look at Hot Meadow in the center of town, it's lined with street trees almost as attentive soldiers ready for a parade march. The landscaping in the existing Hartford site and this site are a little more organic in nature and less formal. So the discussion, we're having the discussions and have had the discussions on what is more appropriate in establishing that streetscape and pulling that vision from the north side of the Hartford, the south side of Hartford, and further along Hot Meadow. Because if someone didn't have the vision historically in the center of town, you wouldn't have what you've grown accustomed to with regards to a more formal, regimented landscape in the center of town versus a little more organic here. And again, it's some trade-offs and the discussions are ongoing. But again, they have that opportunity to bunker that dumpster there, which otherwise it has to be placed somewhere in the parking field and it would stand out potentially much more than if it was built into the landscape and really hidden and disguised well.
We are well down the road with design review, and that was a feature that they were very positive on. We expect that for the next meeting, they'll be fully approving everything we've done.
But to Mr. Doyle's point, the details need to be worked out on how that shows from the street.
Well, I was actually just thinking of it from a safety perspective. Somebody was walking up that hill or that bunker.
The landscape would almost have to be an impenetrable fence type structure so that you can't walk through it, and in essence, I know you can fall into an open dumpster.
And basically, that brings up, just to elaborate on what Mr. Abbott said, that brings up a good point. When you look at our grading plan, I do, if you hadn't seen it already, I do encourage you to look at it again, because we do call out the different berms in here as an addition to the rain gardens. So within that 100 feet, there's a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of interesting features between the rain gardens, the landscaping, the multi-use path that comes through, the entrance, the signage, and then, yes, there's the dumpster that is part of the berms that are through here, which are meant for screening, kind of soften the visual impact. So if you look at our grading plan, obviously there's a lot of line work there to see that, but you can see where you can kind of pick out the circles. You can either see if they're called out as rain gardens, which means they're depressions, or if they're called out the berms, obviously they're a few feet high, meant to kind of soften that and create kind of natural flow there, not just have a flat 100-foot off the road.
The other dumpster location for the commercial space is located in the southwest, and that's in a landscaped island and would have an enclosure and landscaping associated.
What is the lighting situation here? I haven't seen any discussion of the...
In the formal submissions for their site plan approval, they did have a foot candle mat or illumination plan, and they 15-foot, maximum 15-foot tall, in essence, period lighting, architectural style, Main Street urban lighting, not your highway pole and arm scenario, more of a lantern.
Where is that? I
Ryan.
didn't see that.
It's from your phone.
Photometric plan.
Yeah,
But does it talk about the style of the...
Since that submission, we've received more detail regarding the light fixtures. At this point, I would refer you back to the master site development plan from earlier in the year, where we did have samples, if you will, of the type of light fixtures, so that way it was written in the code that we have to basically follow that type of fixture, which was decorative period type lighting. So that was, when you look at that photometric plan, even though that doesn't necessarily show you what that detail is, the light levels based on that were based on a certain fixture. So the person that created that plan pulled out that fixture, which is a decorative type fixture with the height that was mentioned. I think we went with 15 foot. The code actually lets us go a little taller, but we felt that was more appropriate scale-wise. So that is what was projected throughout the site.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I said thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think
We'll be back.
Did anyone have any questions on the assisted living elevations?
yeah, I thought we were going to see those. Are we going to see the assisted living elevations? That was-
Yes, we do have those.
Do you have the ones from this one?
Yes. Did it escape too soon? Yeah, it's going to be tough to see with the cord connection is creating those lines, so it's kind of tough to see. Chris, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, as we've progressed this design, as Paul was saying, we've actually been able to lower the roof height by another 1 foot 9 inches, which has been great. Just to know that the meaningfulness of that view. So we've been working hard on that. We've added more, so it's kind of flattened out the ridge a little bit, but we've countered that with a number of additional dormers in the roof line. So I think the street level view, obviously this isn't where someone will be standing looking at the building, but the street level views will still be attractive and help break up that roof with the additional dormers. But then the other change on the north side of the building, we had chimneys at the ends of the H there, and it's the termination of the hallways. So the original design, we actually had chimneys there, but then windows in the chimneys, which kind of looks awkward when you're thinking about a chimney. So we ended up removing those chimneys in order to keep the windows there to have the natural light coming into those hallways. I think there's an elevation that shows the end. There you go. On the top left there, you can see that center portion used to be a chimney. Now it still comes out in a bay there. But those are really the only changes, I think, to any elevations you've seen previously. We've got on top of the commercial kitchen area and storage area, the piece that sticks out in the back of the building there, we've got a green roof on top of that now. You can see there. It's really important for our residents on those upper floors when they're looking down in those garden and patio areas that if they're looking at that rooftop also that it's still attractive and looks good. So we've got a green roof proposed across that whole area.
And where's all the HVAC stuff?
There'll be some penetrations, of course, that'll come up into that green roof area. Those will be minimized as much as possible and screened as required.
Kevin or Ms. Gray, with regards to HVAC, all the units in essence have split window units.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's over the kitchen, is there not?
Well, there's common area that has HVAC, but if you can if you can zoom in on one of the window
that little,
We're talking about HVAC for the.
Well, the kitchen, like big
kitchen
rooftop
exhaust
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Is that green roof is actually the kitchen, I think I heard you say, and then obviously that has large,
There'll be exhaust and that sort of thing that comes out of there.
so it won't be quite as attractive as you say.
And then to Jamie's point, underneath all of the residential windows, you see those louvers there. It's an integrated PTAC system with the window itself, so it's actually really much more attractive than you might be used to seeing, where it can be a separate louver system under the window, but it's an integrated system now that looks really nice. It works well.
It's flush with the window.
And some of the other details being worked out are the internal areas here as far as the garden space for the residents.
Yeah, the previous site plan had that's the memory care garden area, was on the east side of the building, much smaller. As we, again, worked out the internal and common space areas of the building, we were able to get a much better memory care garden in this interior area with the assisted living garden just to the, west of that, on the other side of the kitchen.
Did we see the north elevation, north side?
Should be.
And your kitchen is kind of the north side, isn't it?
That was the north side.
What you were seeing, Mr. Chairman, if I may, the rear of the building where the green roof is,
Yep.
that's the north elevation. That's the
Yeah,
north
so that's-
elevation. Is there another elevation, Tom, you were looking for?
No, I didn't know the orientation.
Okay.
So Riverwalk is where we are.
Right.
Riverwalk is here.
More like where they are. We spent some time with Riverwalk, and we're actively getting to go on some landscape and planning plans. But the gentlemen that we've walked and worked with at Riverwalk are pretty satisfied with what we're doing on this.
We'll show you the south elevation as well, just maybe that's what you're asking about, just the front entry. Let's go to the top one. No, the top one, because it had a lower. Yep, that one right there. So this is the south side. So basically, when you're looking at the interior loop roads, this would be a drive road here with one of the residential buildings already on this side. So basically, at this point, you've already created that kind of mixed use feel where you have the residential, the on-street parking, and you're going to their front entry. They have a pull-in drive here to get to underneath their porte cochere, but the main road is here with a pull-off this way. So this is a side that most people would see. Plus that back side of the building, the north side, is actually a one-way drive. So less likely that's only going to be used for, really it's not going to be that convenient for many people to use. So.
Mr. Chairman, would it be beneficial if they showed you the hot metal elevation? What you would see from
Sure.
hot metal?
Nice to see.
You want to see the aerial view?
I don't have from the street.
Right. I mean, keep in mind this is just the building itself. It's not the visual from the road with the berms and looking through the other features in front of it. It's the building itself. But this is the side that is facing Tom Meadow.
So again, you have hot meadow, you have a 100-foot buffer, you have a parking lot, you have a road, and then you have this building.
And it's a foot plus shorter than it was.
Lower.
9 inches.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming south on Hot Meadow Street, the dominant feature that you're going to see are the pine trees from Riverwalk. I mean, you're going to be a long way past them before you see much of that building.
not sure when you see this one, but this one, it makes it very massive building.
That corner.
Yeah,
This
that corner.
is turned,
So you
so-
get to see two corners.
Yeah, this is the corner.
How they view.
So that's kind of the parking lot of the commercial building.
Correct.
Yes, yeah.
So if you drive in a southerly direction, you would pass the main entrance, you would pass the commercial building, and then you have the parking lot that you would be looking northeast towards this structure. Again, the key is the landscaping treatment between the edge of Hop Meadow and the front of this building.
But is there any landscaping in front of this building?
Yeah, and along the streets between the parking lot and the building.
Right.
So there'll be building plantings right up against the building, plantings at the streets as well, on both sides of the street, so.
Any
Right.
Tall
Yes.
planting though?
I'm sorry,
Any trees, anything tall, anything more than 1 story?
Oh, yeah, because the road, keep in mind, there's the road, as you round the corner, there's a road on each side.
Right.
So remember that both sides of the road are tree line. So you're gonna have them on both sides, on the assisted living side and also,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
consider trees there.
so basically here's what I was trying to explain. You have the road down here on one side of the road.
Yeah,
and the
there's
road
actually
there.
quite a few trees.
And that's in addition to obviously the screening that's going on this way.
You wouldn't see that view either.
I guess not. Not entirely.
Not full growth. They wouldn't.
Not.
During construction.
Okay, anybody have any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion to table this application. 1710.
So moved.
Good man.
Second?
Seconded.
Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Table the application 1710. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Did we table 1709?
No.
Yes. Yes, we did.
We did.
Got it.
Yeah, that was Mitchell.
Okay, so we're at 1712.
We didn't have a,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, staff makes a recommendation to table application number 17-12 pending staff review.
I hear a motion?
Yep, move that we table application 17-12 until our May 1st meeting, Jamie?
First,
Yes.
At 7 PM in this meeting room.
second by Jackie.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We set the public hearing for 1713, 1714. We have a staff report. Is there someone here to speak to this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have the potential applicant. Okay, potential owner, sorry, not applicant. You are the applicant.
I am the applicant, yes, with approval of the owner of this building. And let me show you, because I don't think I put that as part of the package there. But this is the property, just the flyer. This is the property right here on Hot Meadow Street. Cute, cute, cute.
Take the sales hat off.
Okay. That has been used as a retail establishment, and prior to that, it was residential. It's now in the commercial B1 zone. I want to move it from retail to professional office use. So, what you see is a site plan there. And a couple of changes that I have to make to accommodate parking.
Mr. Chairman, with regards to the information staff just handed out, you have a revised site plan that was received late this afternoon.
This is Mitchell.
This is for Mitchell.
It's because Mike's not here. We sent him away. Thank you very much.
Shuffle through that.
It happens.
So we're prepared for each. So with regards to the revised site plan that was received late this afternoon, you have the conversion of an existing single-family home which has historically been used as a retail space that is being proposed as office space. With regards to our regulations and our calculations for parking as a ratio to the proposed use, we require 6 spaces. Originally, when Mike reviewed it, he was at 6.2, but we worked closely with the applicant on the utilization of space and realized that the second floor had a substantial kitchen. The unit had a substantial kitchen area and a bathroom that shouldn't be calculated as office space because it's not occupied as such and wouldn't have that relationship to the need for a parking space for a kitchen that's utilized by staff. So with that, the regulations require 6 parking spaces. Those spaces can be accommodated with 3 existing spaces in the front, a slight modification to the landscaping at the rear of the building to install 3 parking spaces on the easterly part of the building. Also, there are 2 notes on here. To remove the existing pavers, to be loomed and seated. At some point in time, a unpermitted parking space appeared in the front yard setback. So the applicant, in discussions with staff as part of this permitting process, will be removing that space and looming and seating that to reincorporate it back into the landscape. And then to the rear of the property, in order to accommodate the 3 parking spaces, again, he'll need to make a slight adjustment to a landscaped area around the base of the building. There is a note on there that says add pavement to the parking area. It may be possible if we can work with the applicant to saw cut that pavement and instead of doing a 1 or 2 foot patch, to look at alternative surface treatments, which could include Belgian block or pavers versus putting a 2 foot patch that my experience has been that a 1 or 2 foot asphalt patch does not stand the test of time, but perhaps using a load-bearing material in that shoulder area and some permeable pavers or a block pavement system may be more cost-effective as well as have more longevity. So although we would like that flexibility, that although it says add pavement to that area, it would in essence be add pavement or all weathered surface traveled way or parking material.
What's going on in the backyard that requires so much of it to be paved? Is there a reason why the parking spots have to go so far south?
In order to accommodate the turning movement for the parking space for item number 6, for parking space number 6, you have the turning movement for 6 actually takes you in a northwesterly direction and back to the east because they don't have the room to do what's called a hammerhead turnaround because of the proximity of that easterly property line. If you go out to this property, I know Mr. Doyle's pulled up the aerial already. Right behind those parking spaces are 3, in essence, concrete pads, and if you walked out there with the potential landowner, you would assume that is part of the property. That is EB's property. So from a landscape perspective, if you visit this site, it looks like the property goes, in essence, all the way to the east and heads towards the trail. But EB's property, in fact, intrudes visually into the backyard of this existing property. So it's tight, Kevin. We did look at ways to potentially reduce and saw cut and
Yeah.
move some things around.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of extra paving just for 3 spots.
It's existing pavement.
Yeah, it's all there now.
And because it's existing paving, then the parking can be non-conforming?
Yes. They are proposing no revisions to any aspect of any non-conforming.
So they don't have to conform as far as where the spaces are, because it's already there.
It's already there. They're not proposing any changes to it. Again, if this building, Donald, to your point, if the building was raised and they were redoing the entire, they would have
Then
to
they'd have to
comply
conform,
with
right.
all of the setback. And it would make that site difficult with side yard, rear yard
Right,
setback.
because they're not conforming, for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't have a requirement for impervious area?
It's all existing non-conforming, even if it was. Again, this is an old
Yep.
home.
Cute.
And the kitchen's staying then? So
Yes.
Kitchen is staying, yes.
you're not getting...
Those real estate agents.
Again, if someone at some point in time decided that the kitchen turns into a conference room or turns into something other than a kitchen for staff,
Then you have
it
issues.
changes the parking ratio.
Right.
That's only for motorcycle point too.
So I had Mike put together a quick memo based on these revised plans late this afternoon, and on the back of that is a recommended
Motion.
motion, attachment A.
Are there any more questions?
Well, the only thing is with that, it doesn't say what you had just said about the parking in the back.
Potentially
Okay.
handle that under item number 6, minor field adjustments to grading and landscaping may be made based on field conditions upon written approval from the town planner.
So that covers it.
Again, if the commission's comfortable that we, instead of doing a 1-foot or 18-inch patch, that staff would review that as part of the grading and landscaping plan and assure that it was load bearing, whether it's a concrete brick product or a traditional granite Belgium block. Again, it's so close to the edge that a vehicle won't travel on it. It will just be, in essence, for pedestrian movements when you open the car door and walk around your car.
So we want to
And
make a
that's the
motion.
space you're talking about.
Not
towards
visible from
Meadow.
Hot Meadow.
It's not visible from Hot Meadow, but it's closest to Hot Meadow.
I'll-
Number 4, isn't it?
I'll attempt it.
It's number 4. Yeah.
2 aspects.
It's this one.
Closest to Hot Meadow, they would remove
Yeah.
the
Yep. Yeah, whatever's there now.
space that appeared at some point in
There's
time.
one.
And with regards to the discussion on the small pavement area, it's to the easterly side of the building or the rear of the building,
Yes.
where they need to make an adjustment to the landscape.
I'm sorry, I'm with you now. Thank you.
That area was not visible,
Right.
and in all essence, those are the 3 employee parking spaces.
Any more questions? Tom?
Nope.
Somebody want to make a motion to,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve application 17-14 of Charlie Kaler, agent, Yunnan Young, I think her name is, owners for a site plan amendment to change the use from retail to professional office on the property located at 552 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map Sheets 12, Block 32, Lot 032, Zone B1. Site plan amendment approval is subject to the following conditions of approval. 1, approval is based on plans titled Site Plan Prepared for Charlie Kaler, 522 Hot Meadow Street, prepared by Anchor Engineering, latest revision date of 4/17/2017. Item 2, pavers at western edge of front parking lot are to be removed, areas to be loomed and seeded. Item 3, kitchen and bathroom on second floor are not to be converted into office space based on parking calculations. Item 4, any areas of excess pavement shall be saw cut and removed. Said areas are to be loomed and seeded. Item 5, a zoning permit is required for all site improvements. And item 6, minor field adjustments to grading and landscaping may be made based on field conditions upon written approval from the town planner, who has been given the authority on behalf of the town zoning commission to act on their behalf.
I'll second it.
second by Mike. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes.
Thank you, Commission. Thank you for your volunteerism.
Coming in.
Thanks.
Okay, we're schedule a public hearing for application 1715.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we set a public hearing on application 1715 for May 15th at 7 o'clock in this meeting room.
Second?
Second by Donna. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, it's tabled. Pending, I'm sorry, public hearing is set for the 15th of May. Okay, we got a referral that's been withdrawn for this. So we're on to new and ongoing projects.
Clerk's got to catch
Zoning
up.
reg, comments?
Zoning reg review is ongoing. Workforce housing overlay moratorium and development of language to resolve that is ongoing.
Okay. And is Bobby D gonna be here?
He was scheduled to arrive at 8. So I can check on his progress.
I'll go make a peep.
Okay.
He once was a mayor, you know, East Hartford.
Yes.
Politicians
Didn't know.
sometimes are late.
Attorneys, notoriously.
Attorneys are notoriously late. Shall we take a 5-minute break? Mr. Glidden is not here, I don't believe.
Or otherwise occupied.
Right, so we need to make a motion at this
We
point.
need to make a motion, well, we need our
We need our clerk.
clerk back. When Jamie comes back, he's the clerk and he's also Mr.
Is the town planner acting as a?
He's Mr. Glidden dash Rabbit. But
It's a man of many talents.
he's,
Yeah, so we're still on the record at this point.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
oh, we
took a break.
John,
Oh.
sorry. Oh, we're ready to make a
We've been
motion.
picking
Okay,
on him twice.
we're ready to make a motion. Okay. Chair, we entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move into executive session.
Close the door open until they actually do it.
To include the town attorney and town planner.
Second it?
All in favor?